Here is the ultimate base building game list for 2026. Number 30. State of Decay 2 isn't your typical zombie shooter. This is a hardcore survival sandbox where you're managing an entire community of survivors in a post-apocalyptic world. Every character is unique with their own skills, personalities, and backstories. You'll scavenge for supplies, fight off hordes of undead, recruit new survivors, and make brutal choices about who lives and who dies. It's part action game, part survival sim, and part community management strategy. And if you're like me and you live for base building games, this one's going to sink its hooks deep. Now, I've spent hundreds of hours in base builders, from RimWorld to Oxygen Not Included to Satisfactory. So when I tell you State of Decay 2's base building system is different, I mean it's fundamentally different from what you'd expect. There's no freeform construction here, no placing walls wherever you want or designing your perfect fortress from scratch. Instead, you're working with pre-existing locations scattered across the map. Abandoned houses, fire stations, warehouses, strip malls, even a massive container fort if you're lucky enough to find it. Here's how it actually works. Each base location comes with built-in facilities you can't change, and a set number of empty slots. These slots are categorized as small or large, indoor or outdoor, and that classification determines what you can build. A small outdoor slot, perfect for a garden or some basic beds. A large indoor slot, now we're talking workshops, infirmaries, or even a full auto shop for vehicle upgrades. And this is where the puzzle begins. Because unlike games where you can just spam farms and turrets until your PC catches fire, State of Decay 2 forces you to think strategically. You've got maybe 3 to 8 facility slots depending on your base size, and you need to cover everything. Food production, medical care, stamina recovery, crafting stations, resource generation, morale boosters, and defensive structures. It's like playing Tetris with your survival needs. Let me give you a real example. Your survivors are getting wrecked by blood plague, this game's signature infection mechanic. You need an infirmary, and you need it upgraded to craft plague cure samples. That's one large slot gone, plus it requires a survivor with medical knowledge to run efficiently. But wait, your people are exhausted and you only have 2 beds. You need a barracks, another large slot. Oh, and you're completely out of building materials because you've been crafting like crazy. Time to build a workshop so you can break down items into materials. That's your 3rd slot. See the problem? You haven't even touched food production, water supply, or ammunition crafting yet. What makes this system brilliant is the upgrade paths. Every facility has multiple tiers, and watching them evolve is incredibly satisfying. Start with a basic garden producing 1 food per day. Upgrade it to a farm with compost bins for 2 food daily. Max it out to hydroponics for 3 food plus medicinal herbs. Same concept applies to everything. Outdoor beds become sheltered beds, become barracks. Basic workshops become staging areas that eliminate facility maintenance costs entirely. The resource economy is equally tight. Building costs materials, upgrades cost materials and influence. The game's currency you earn through missions and community goals. Facilities have daily upkeep costs and resources. You can't just build everything and forget about it. You're constantly calculating, do I spend 150 influence upgrading my infirmary or relocating to a bigger base? Speaking of relocating, base progression is core to the experience. You start small with 3 or 4 slots, basically a starter home in the zombie apocalypse. As your community grows, you'll need to move up. Small bases cost 500 influence and need 3 survivors. Medium bases run 1,000 influence for 5 survivors. Large bases demand 1,500 influence and 6 survivors. And if you're going for the endgame massive bases, 3,500 influence and 8 survivors minimum. Each move is a major decision because you're dismantling your entire operation and rebuilding from scratch. But here's where it gets really interesting for min-maxers like us. Your leader choice unlocks exclusive facilities that completely change your base strategy. Choose a warlord leader and you get access to an armory that cranks out military-grade ammunition and explosives. Pick a trader and you unlock a trade depot generating passive influence and access to any trader type on demand. Sheriff, field hospital with passive healing for everyone. Builder, sniper towers providing radio support and covering fire during sieges. The metagame becomes figuring out optimal builds for different playstyles and difficulty levels. Speedrunners focus on influence generation and minimal infrastructure infrastructure. Long-term players build self-sustaining communities with maxed facilities. Lethal difficulty players obsess over defensive structures and medical capacity because one mistake means permadeath. State of Decay 2 proves you don't need Minecraft-style creative freedom to create a deeply strategic base-building experience. Sometimes the best puzzles come from working within constraints, and when you finally optimize that perfect base layout, balance all your resources, and watch your community thrive in a world full of undead horrors, that's the base-building magic we live for. Number 29. Lens Island, a game that fully released from early access on June 19th, 2025 after almost 4 years of development, and the building system here is genuinely impressive. Available on PC via Steam, Lens Island is what happens when you take action RPG dungeon crawling, farming simulation, and open world exploration, then tie it all together with one of the most satisfying building systems in any survival game. It's currently sitting at 83% very positive reviews, and after playing it, I understand why. The building system is what the developers call a modular tile-based approach, and it's incredibly intuitive once you get the hang of it. Unlike games where you're just placing pre-made building pieces, Lens Island lets you customize structures at a granular level. You're placing individual floor tiles, wall sections, roof pieces, and then customizing them with different materials and styles. What I love is the freedom this system provides. Want to build a cozy cottage on the beach? Done. A massive castle on a mountain? Go for it. An elaborate multi-building compound with gardens, workshops, and warehouses? Absolutely. The building tools include snapping mechanics that make construction smooth, and you can rotate, raise, and position pieces with precision. The game features multiple building material tiers, starting with basic wood, progressing through stone, and eventually unlocking more advanced materials as you explore dungeons and progress through the story. Each material type has different textures and aesthetic properties, so you can create structures with unique looks. The Gothic building style DLC adds even more architectural options if you want to build dark, moody structures. But here's where it gets really good. The 1.0 full release in June added a completely revamped building system with even more flexibility. You can now build practically anywhere on the archipelago across multiple islands, create elevated structures on platforms, build underground rooms and cellars, and construct bridges connecting different areas. The recent update also improved the building UI and added structure templates that you can save and reuse. Interior decoration is robust too. You've got hundreds of furniture items, crafting stations, storage solutions, and decorative objects. The game has a comfort system where well-furnished homes provide buffs, encouraging you to actually decorate rather than just build empty shells. You can place crafting tables, furnaces, beds, chairs, paintings, plants, basically everything you need to make your base feel like an actual home. One of the coolest features is the Steam Workshop integration. You can design elaborate structures, save them as blueprints, and share them with the community, or download other players' designs and incorporate them into your world. This adds incredible value because you can learn from other builders or just find inspiration. The 1.0 release also added 8-player online co-op, so you can build together with friends. Imagine 7 friends all working on constructing a massive collaborative settlement. That's peak base building right there. The game's procedurally generated world means every playthrough offers new building locations and opportunities. And it's not just building for building's sake. Your base serves gameplay purposes. You need farms for food, workshops for crafting advanced gear, storage for the massive amounts of loot you'll gather from dungeons, and comfortable living spaces for the buff system. Everything you build has a purpose, which makes every structure feel meaningful. If you want a building system that balances freedom with structure, offers genuine progression, and exists in a beautiful, varied world with actual content to support your building habit, Lens Island absolutely delivers. It's the complete package. Number 28. Dungeons & Kingdoms throws you into a genre mashup that blends deep kingdom building with Souls-like dungeon delving. A genre mashup that takes kingdom building and smashes it together with Souls-like dungeon delving. This is the first game from Canadian solo developer Lincoln McCulloch, and it's ambitious as hell. You're leading a ragtag group of refugees fleeing an unlivable homeland, making landfall in a new fantasy world where you need to build everything from scratch. But here's the twist. This isn't just about managing a settlement. You'll also be diving into dangerous dungeons in third-person action RPG combat to unlock the resources and technology your kingdom needs to advance. The building system is incredibly robust with over 500 modular pieces to work with. You can construct everything yourself piece by piece, or lay down blueprints and give orders to your loyal colonists who'll do the heavy lifting. Design homes, craft tools, build farms, shelters, forges, mines, marketplaces, towers, temples, and entire infrastructure networks. Every building you create can be saved as a blueprint and shared via Steam Workshop so the community can trade designs and inspire each other. But what really sets this apart is the terrain manipulation. You're not just placing buildings, you're reshaping the world itself. Paint lush, grassy, and forest areas, or remove vegetation to make room for roads and buildings. Smooth out land to facilitate farming, create moats around your castle for defense, raise hills to place archer towers on, build valleys to ward off intruders, and flatten areas to optimize your layout. It's city building meets landscape architect simulator. The survival and management side is deep. You'll forage and farm for food to keep villagers alive, manage their needs, harvest resources, hunt wild beasts to feed your people, and navigate realistic full day and night cycles through changing seasons. You'll need to protect roads from outlaws and raiders, defend your lands, and project your kingdom's power. There's hardship, illness, and death. Families genuinely struggle to survive, making every decision feel weighty. Then there are the dungeons. Discover ancient ruins and temples scattered across the land and face the monsters within. We're talking big worm creatures, nasty demons, and dragons, all in methodical, slow-paced, Souls-like combat that tests your timing and skill. Explore every room, defeat dungeon bosses, and reap rewards that directly impact your kingdom. The loot you find and the bosses you defeat unlock unique resources and tech upgrades that you can't get anywhere else. It's not just about combat for combat's sake. Every dungeon run has a purpose. You can also attract legendary heroes to join your cause, customize your party, and choose different adventuring playstyles. Combat happens in third-person action RPG style, giving you that hands-on connection to battles rather than watching from above. The art style has that angular, low-poly charm similar to Valheim, emerald plains stretching into the distance, vibrant fantasy environments, and a gorgeous aesthetic that ties the whole experience together. PC Gamer called it two great tastes to see if they taste great together. A medieval kingdom sim mashed up with Souls-like dungeon delving. The game already includes most core features like modular base building, party customization, trading, village management, day and night cycles, survival mechanics, and sandbox mode. Early access is planned for about a year and a half, with the full version promising a story mode campaign, playable races, co-op multiplayer, modding support, and more. For base builders who've always wanted their settlement sim to have a meaningful combat loop, or dungeon crawlers who want to see their loot actually build something tangible, Dungeons & Kingdoms might be the perfect marriage you've been waiting for. Number 27.
Greenwood could become a thing of beauty. It is all very exciting to have a new lord in the realm. One may find great pleasure in following their progress.
Noble Legacy, and this medieval city builder puts you literally on the ground with your people while you construct an entire kingdom from rubble. Released into early access on Steam on August 12, 2025, Noble Legacy comes from Studio 369 and does something unique. It combines traditional city builder construction with third-person character control. You're not some distant god clicking buildings into existence. You're walking your kingdom's streets as the lord, physically overseeing construction and interacting with your villagers. The building system here is where things get really interesting. You've got two construction approaches: prefab buildings and completely custom structures. The prefab system includes over 100 pre-designed buildings, homes, workshops, taverns, guard towers, monuments, and more. These are fully detailed structures you can place and customize, which is perfect for quickly growing your settlement. But the custom building is where Noble Legacy truly shines. The modular construction system lets you build structures piece by piece, wall by wall, floor by floor, floor, you're selecting foundation types, wall materials, wood, stone, brick, different window configurations, door styles, roofing options with multiple shapes and materials, and interior layouts. Want a 2-story tavern with a stone base and wooden upper floor? Build it. A massive castle with towers, battlements, and a great hall? It's possible. What's impressive is the level of detail in the decoration system. You're not just building structures, you're furnishing them. Every building can be customized with furniture, lighting, decorations, and functional items. Place tables and chairs in your tavern, beds in the inn, forges in the blacksmith, storage chests and warehouses, everything. The game even lets you choose the type of torches lighting up buildings. This granular control creates incredibly personal settlements. The city builder mechanics are deep too. You're managing resource production chains, lumber mills, stone quarries, farms, hunting lodges, fishing huts, and mines. These buildings need to be strategically placed based on resources, and you're creating supply chains where raw materials flow to processing buildings to create finished goods. Your villagers have different skills and preferences, and you're assigning them to roles that match their abilities. Noble Legacy also features a monument system where you construct structures of cultural importance. Statues, fountains, grand buildings that affect your settlement's development and villager happiness. These aren't just functional, they're about building a legacy, as the name suggests. The game includes a tile-based building menu that's being continually expanded with updates. You can create elaborate road networks with different paving types, build defensive walls around your settlement, construct farms with multiple crop types, and even design the layout of entire districts within your kingdom. There's also Steam Workshop support, so you can share your building designs or use templates from other players. Now, Noble Legacy is still in early access. It just launched a couple months ago, and currently sits at 72% mostly positive reviews. Some players mentioned the combat needs work and there are bugs being ironed out, but the base building and city construction, that's solid. The developers are actively updating it based on community feedback, and they've already confirmed multiplayer co-op is coming, which will let you build kingdoms with friends. The game provides that satisfying arc of starting with ruins and basic structures, then gradually building your way up to a thriving medieval city with castles, marketplaces, residential districts, and grand monuments. If you've ever wanted to physically walk through a city you built from nothing, watching your villagers go about their lives in buildings you designed, Noble Legacy delivers that fantasy. Number 26. Rising World. Available in early access on PC via Steam, Rising World has been in development for over a decade, and the developers have spent that time creating what I genuinely believe is the most powerful, most flexible, and most satisfying building system in any survival game. Let me explain why this is number 1. Rising World uses a voxel-based building system combined with precision placement tools that give you creative freedom that's genuinely unmatched. You're not limited to preset building pieces. You can shape blocks, beams, planks, and cylinders at virtually any size and angle you want. Want a wall that's exactly 2.3 meters tall with a 15-degree slope? Done. Need a custom-sized beam to span a specific distance? No problem. The building materials system is incredibly deep. You've got different wood types: oak, pine, birch, each with unique textures. Stone varieties: granite, limestone, sandstone, metals, iron, steel, copper, glass, and even specialized materials like marble and concrete. Each material can be textured, painted, and shaped. The recent updates added even more material options and improved the textures to look stunning. But the real magic is in the construction blocks themselves. You've got planks for walls and floors, beams for structural support, cylinders for pillars and rounded elements, arcs for doorways and windows, wedges for roofs, and more. Every single block can be resized along all 3 axes and rotated in any direction. This means you can create architectural styles from any period or culture. Medieval castles with Gothic arches, Japanese temples with curved roofs, modern glass and steel buildings, Victorian mansions, log cabins, and literally anything else. The precision movement system lets you nudge blocks by tiny increments or snap them to a grid. You can offset blocks, overlap them for complex designs, and use different scaling to create intricate details. The building tools include surface alignment. Blocks automatically match the angle of whatever you're building on. Auto rotation and copy-paste functionality. See a complex design element you created, copy it, and place it elsewhere instantly. Rising World also has one of the best interior decoration systems I've seen. Hundreds of furniture items, items, decorations, and functional objects are available. We're talking complete kitchen sets with stoves, sinks, and refrigerators, bathroom fixtures with working toilets, bathtubs and showers, bedroom furniture with different bed styles, wardrobes and nightstands, workshop tools, paintings, and wall decorations, lighting fixtures from torches to chandeliers to modern lamps, plants and garden decorations, and even musical instruments like the piano I mentioned earlier that you can actually play. The game's crafting system ties into building beautifully. You need workbenches for different crafting categories, but you can build elaborate workshops and factories. The recent updates added machinery like sawmills and smithing equipment that can be incorporated into your builds. What really puts Rising World over the top is the sheer scale you can achieve. The procedurally generated worlds are massive, and there's no build limit. Want to build an entire medieval village with dozens of buildings? Go ahead. A sprawling castle complex with walls, towers, a keep, and surrounding settlements? Absolutely. A modern city with skyscrapers, roads, and infrastructure? It's possible. Players have built functioning schools, elaborate train stations, mansions that rival real architectural works, and even replicas of famous buildings. The cave systems add another dimension. You can build underground bases, excavate your own caverns, or create elaborate underground cities. The mining and terraforming tools let you shape the landscape itself, so you're not limited to building on existing terrain. The multiplayer aspect is fully supported, and the game has a thriving modding community. The plugin API lets developers add new features, and players share their creations constantly. The Steam Workshop integration means you can download complete buildings to place in your world, or share your own masterpieces. Rising World currently has 85% very positive reviews on Steam, and the community is incredibly supportive and creative. The developers are active, constantly adding new features, improving performance, and listening to feedback. They completely rewrote the game engine to improve performance and add even more capabilities, a move that could have alienated the community but was executed so well that players praised it. Now I should mention, Rising World is still in early access, and it shows in some areas. The survival elements are fairly basic. There aren't many hostile creatures, and the gameplay loop besides building is minimal, but that's kind of the point. This game is for people who want to build. The developers have stated they're adding more gameplay elements, but the building will always be the core focus. If you want complete creative freedom, the most powerful building tools available, and the ability to create literally anything you can imagine, from rustic cabins to massive castles to modern architectural marvels, Rising World is the game. This is the ultimate sandbox for builders. Number 25. Pax Dei takes base building to the next level. A fully player-driven medieval fantasy MMO where thousands of players build, craft, and shape an entire persistent world together. This is a social sandbox MMO inspired by the legends of medieval Europe, where myths are real, ghosts exist, and magic is unquestioned. The game spans around 300 square kilometers across 5 provinces with 40 unique home valleys for players to settle. Everything, and we mean everything, in the game is made by players. There are no NPC vendors, no pre-built cities, no quest hubs handing out gear. If you see it, a player crafted it. The building system is where Pax Dei truly shines. You can claim a plot of land and construct your home using hundreds of building pieces, creating everything from cozy cottages to massive fortresses. But here's the magic. You can combine plots with your clanmates to build entire villages, sprawling cities, or intimidating fortifications that reshape the landscape. The modular building system lets you design intricate structures, and you can even share your blueprints via Steam Workshop so other players can use your architectural genius. The world is divided between the relatively safe heartlands and the dangerous wilderness. In the heartlands, you'll find your home valley where you can build in peace, establish your crafting empire, and connect with the community. The wilderness is where things get spicy. Stronger enemies, rarer materials, contested resources, and eventually PvP conflict with rival clans over valuable territory. The crafting system is absurdly deep. We're talking hundreds of recipes across multiple disciplines: leatherworking, armor smithing, weaponsmithing, crafting, carpentry, tailoring, cooking, alchemy, and more. Here's the twist. Everyone can technically attempt to craft anything, but becoming a master crafter requires dedication and specialization. Your character builds actual skill through repeated crafting, meaning specialized craftsmen become invaluable to their clans and servers. The grind is real, but so is the economic power you wield when you're the go-to armor smith on your server. The player-driven economy is the heartbeat of Pax Dei. You can set up market stalls on your plot to showcase goods, crafted items, or rare resources. Trade with other players using gold you've earned from adventures. Every playstyle matters here. The gatherer who spends hours collecting rare materials, the crafter perfecting their recipes, the warrior who brings back loot from dungeons, the trader who connects supply and demand. All roles interconnect and complement each other. Combat and adventure balance the building. Explore mysterious ruins and hidden dungeons filled with treasures and challenges. Face everything from basilisks to demons in third-person combat. The further you venture from home, the stranger and more dangerous the world becomes. The glory and loot you bring back enriches your entire clan and unlocks advanced crafting materials you can't get anywhere else. The game features a Discord-powered chat system that keeps conversations going even outside the game. Want to check what your Pax Dei friends are up to? Just open Discord. You can also perform miracles by spending grace, granting powerful abilities and bonuses that aid your adventures or crafting. Built on Unreal Engine 5, the game is gorgeous. Light streams through forest canopies realistically, dungeons are suitably atmospheric, and the medieval fantasy world genuinely invites exploration. The developers are from studios like CCP Games, EVE Online, Blizzard, and Ubisoft, bringing serious MMO pedigree to the project. Now for the elephant in the room. Pax Dei uses an optional subscription model for premium membership. The base game gives you permanent access to all gameplay systems, all areas, dungeons, PvE, PvP, crafting, and building. You can join clans and use their plots, buy gear from other players, and experience the full game. Premium membership grants you plot tokens to claim and maintain your own land, plus XP boosts and bonus grace. It sparked controversy, but the developers argue it creates investment and prevents abandoned ghost towns that plague many sandbox MMOs. Pax Dei is built for players who love long-term projects and shared goals, gathering, crafting, and construction that pay off at village scale, with real stakes when you venture into dangerous territory. It's EVE Online meets Minecraft in a medieval fantasy wrapper, and if that sounds like your dream game, you owe it to yourself to check it out. Number 24. Anchor takes us beneath them in what might be the most ambitious underwater survival game yet. Picture this: a nuclear holocaust has wiped out the surface world, and humanity's only refuge is the ocean depths. You're part of a genetically engineered race designed to survive underwater, and now you've got to build a new life on the seafloor. This is Subnautica meets Rust in the best possible way. Anchor supports massive 150-player servers on a 16 square kilometer open world map that's absolutely enormous. The game features diverse underwater biomes, rocky areas, coral reefs, Arctic zones, each packed with resources, dangers, and opportunities. And here's the kicker: these servers are persistent and always on. Your base continues to exist and evolve even when you're offline, which means you're vulnerable to raids and environmental threats 24/7. No pressure, right? The base building is where things get really interesting. You'll construct, expand, and fortify underwater structures that serve as more than just shelter. They're your home, your fortress, and your lifeline. The crafting system is incredibly rich, letting you process ores, metals, shells, and more to create everything from primitive tools to advanced weaponry. We're talking hydro cannons, hydro precision rifles, obsidian knives, and crossbows. You'll build crafting stations, set up defenses, and create a self-sustaining underwater outpost. But what really sets Anchor apart is its dynamic ecosystem. The ocean is alive with predators and prey, and the game features an intelligent shark system where these apex hunters behave realistically. They're attracted to blood, hunt dynamically, and don't just mindlessly attack. If you're injured after a skirmish and bleeding out, lingering too long could turn you into a late-night snack. The tension is real. Combat happens both against the environment and other players. You'll engage in large-scale underwater underwater battles, raid enemy bases to steal resources, and defend your own territory. Whether you're wielding melee weapons, spear guns, or firearms, every fight matters because death means losing your gear to whoever finds your corpse first. For those who prefer a more peaceful experience, there's a solo or co-op sandbox mode where you can explore and build without PvP, facing only the ocean's natural dangers and AI threats. It's perfect for base builders who just want to create their underwater paradise without constantly watching their backs. Anchor doesn't have a release date yet, but with Theorem's decade of experience in networking and multiplayer technology, this could be the underwater survival MMO we've been waiting for. If you've ever wanted to build an underwater empire while dodging sharks and rival players, this is the one to watch. Number 23. Green Hell, and while it's known for being brutally realistic, its base building system is surprisingly satisfying in a primal back-to-basics kind of way. Available on PC via Steam, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, and Series XS, and even Nintendo Switch, Green Hell puts you deep in the Amazon rainforest where you're building shelter from absolutely nothing. Now, the base building here isn't about elaborate castles or modern fortresses, it's about survival construction at its most fundamental. You're starting with stick frames and palm leaves, gradually unlocking mud walls, bamboo structures, and eventually more permanent stone foundations. What makes it work is how grounded everything feels. You're not magically snapping prefab buildings together. You're actually constructing walls piece by piece, choosing where support beams go, and watching your shelter take shape organically. The building system includes crafting stations that need to be strategically placed around your camp, water collectors, drying racks for food, and even gardens for sustainable living. You can build multiple structures and connect them, creating these authentic jungle compounds that feel earned. And here's the thing, because the environment is so hostile with its weather, diseases, and predators, there's genuine satisfaction in creating that safe haven where you can finally breathe. The game also features a bamboo construction set that unlocks later, letting you build more elaborate structures with elevated floors. Super important when floods and jaguars are concerned. You can customize your base with decorations, weapon racks, and storage solutions. It's not the most advanced building system on this list, but there's something deeply rewarding about the progression from a basic lean-to to a fortified jungle homestead. Green Hell proves that base building doesn't need to be complex to be satisfying. Sometimes the simple act of creating shelter in a hostile world is enough. If you want that Robinson Crusoe experience where every plank and every wall matters, this is your entry point. Number 22. ARK Survival Evolved is base building with dinosaurs. Despite controversy, technical issues, and developer drama, it maintains 83% positive across 750,000 plus Steam reviews. It's one of Steam's most played survival games ever. OpenCritic critics rated it weak, 61 out of 100, but players tell a different story. You wake up on an island full of prehistoric creatures and hostile environments. Gather resources, craft gear, build bases ranging from shacks to massive fortresses, and most importantly, tame, breed, and ride dinosaurs. The building system is comprehensive. Players create elaborate bases with defensive structures, automated systems, breeding facilities, and more. The progression from primitive tools to tech-tier futuristic gear spans hundreds of hours, 300 to 4,000 plus hour playthroughs. One reviewer, one of the best dinosaur games out there. A fun time for sure and super entertaining. Taming dinosaurs is now my hobby. The game spans multiple maps: the Island, Scorched Earth, Aberration, Extinction, Genesis, Part 1 and 2, each with unique creatures and challenges. The modding community is massive. PvE is great, but PvP is notoriously brutal. You will become a slave to no sleep. Number 21. ARK Survival Ascended is the Unreal Engine 5 remake that transforms the original's notoriously clunky building system into something genuinely functional. You're still crafting bases on prehistoric islands filled with dinosaurs you can tame and ride, but now the construction mechanics actually cooperate with your vision. This isn't just graphical polish, it's a fundamental overhaul that turns base building from frustrating snap point battles into creative architectural engineering, where tame creatures become living infrastructure. The building overhaul solves ARK's biggest pain point, structure placement. Enhanced snap points accurately show where pieces will connect before you place them, eliminating the guessing game that plagued Survival Evolved. Cycling systems let you switch between wall variants, solid walls, doorways, window frames, using a single engram instead of learning dozens of separate blueprints for every variation. Quarter walls and railings toggle between options seamlessly. Place structures upside down, horizontally, or vertically for creative freedom impossible in the original diagonal pillars, and flat foundations enable complex architectural designs. The entire engram system was streamlined. You'll spend hundreds fewer points just to build basic structures. The pickup mechanic is transformative. In Survival Evolved, moving a foundation destroyed everything attached to it. Walls, ceilings, crafting stations. Ascended adds items to your inventory instead of obliterating them. Redesign your base layout without losing hours of construction. Test foundation placements and relocate them if positioning isn't perfect. This single change makes iterative base design actually feasible, instead of punishingly permanent. Remote infrastructure eliminates clutter dramatically. The old irrigation system required massive pipe networks snaking everywhere to transport water. Now place a stone or metal water intake near water sources, and it creates an invisible irrigation range. Place water tanks within that range to extend coverage further. No physical pipes connecting anything. Any structure within range is considered irrigated. The electrical system works identically. Generators power nearby structures wirelessly within range, eliminating tangled wire spaghetti throughout your base. It's infrastructure that works like modern Wi-Fi instead of 1990s cabling. Material progression follows familiar survival tiers, but with improved structural integrity. Start with thatch, weak, temporary shelters, upgrade to wood, basic protection, then stone, mid-tier durability, metal, strong defense against most threats, and finally tech, endgame technology with special properties. Each tier withstands progressively harsher environmental conditions, and creature attacks upgrade walls to metal for defense against hostile dinosaurs. Add spiked walls for perimeter protection that damages attacking creatures automatically. Location strategy balances, resource access, defensive positioning, and creature spawns. Build near water sources for irrigation and fishing forest areas. Provide wood and fiber, but attract predator spawns. Beach locations offer visibility and escape routes, but expose you to amphibious threats. Elevated positions like cliffs provide natural defenses. Island bases create water barriers, limiting land-based creature access. Some players build treehouse bases attached to massive redwood trees for aerial safety, requiring flying tames for access. Underwater bases use specialized tech structures for aquatic fortresses. The craziest build? Constructing entire mobile bases on the backs of tamed titanosaurs, the game's largest creatures, creating nomadic fortresses that move. Taming integration makes bases functional beyond shelter. Tamed dinosaurs serve as living base components. Ankylosaurus gather metal and stone. Castoroids produce cementing paste and wood. Dodecurus harvest stone efficiently. Argentavis transport heavy materials across distances. Build dedicated creature pens within your base perimeter using fence foundations and walls. Create breeding facilities with climate control for raising baby dinosaurs requiring specific temperatures. Construct storage facilities where tamed pack mules like Parasaur function as mobile inventory. Your base isn't just player housing, it's dinosaur infrastructure managing resource-gathering creatures, combat mounts, and breeding programs simultaneously. Advanced features unlock through progression. Tech tier introduces powered structures with special properties, teleporters connecting distant bases, force fields providing automated defense, generators producing infinite power from specific resources, cryopods storing tamed creatures in portable form. Build advanced crafting stations, fabricators for endgame equipment, industrial forges smelting massive quantities, chemistry benches producing advanced materials, tech replicators crafting high-tech gear. Defensive design matters critically on PvP servers. Multi-layered walls with turret coverage create killing zones. Plant species X, defensive plants, slow and damage raiders. Vaults protect valuable items with massive health pools. Hidden compartments use clever foundation tricks, concealing loot rooms. Underwater vaults exploit 3D space, where raiders expect flat layouts. The building system's flexibility enables creative defensive architectures, honeycomb structures where raiders must break through multiple wall layers, maze-like interiors disorienting attackers, fake loot rooms wasting raider resources. Blueprint system enables pre-planned construction, create structure mock-ups before gathering materials, preventing wasteful builds from poor planning, save successful designs as blueprints for rapid replication across multiple bases or servers, share blueprints with tribe members for coordinated construction projects. The building grid ensures precise alignment, foundations snap to grid patterns creating clean layouts, pillars support multi-story construction beams, provide structural reinforcement for large spans, ceilings double as floors for vertical expansion. Stairs, ramps, and ladders connect levels. The physics system actually matters. Poorly supported structures lose stability, indicated by visual cues, eventually collapsing if support is insufficient. For base builders who want survival construction where tame dinosaurs integrate into base infrastructure, where wireless utilities eliminate clutter, and where building mechanics actually cooperate instead of fighting you, ARK Survival Ascended delivers the game Survival Evolved should have been. Your base isn't decoration, it's a fortified dinosaur ranch, managing prehistoric creatures as living tools while defending against the planet's most dangerous wildlife. And finally, the building system doesn't make you want to punch your monitor. Number 20. We're heading to space with Astrometica, a game that takes base building to the final frontier. Currently in early access on PC via Steam since December 2024, Astrometica puts you in the role of a survivor from a mining station disaster, and you're building bases across asteroids and space stations in this beautiful, dangerous cosmos. The base building here is modular and three-dimensional in a way most games don't attempt. You're not building on flat ground, you're constructing on floating asteroids, inside abandoned stations, and across zero-gravity environments. The construction system uses a tile-based approach where you're placing floor tiles, wall sections, and connecting modules to create functional space habitats. What makes Astrometica special is how purposeful every structure needs to be. You're building airlocks that actually matter, oxygen generation rooms, solar panel arrays that need to face the sun, and pressurized living quarters. Your base isn't just for show, it's your life support system. You need to plan power distribution with cables and batteries, set up automated mining drills on resource-rich asteroids, and create storage facilities for all your materials. The game lets you build across multiple locations, so you can establish a main base on one asteroid and set up smaller outposts elsewhere. There's something incredibly satisfying about looking out from your custom-built space station and seeing another one of your bases floating in the distance. You can connect structures with corridors, create multi-level facilities, and even customize the interior with workbenches, research stations, and personal quarters. Now, I'll be honest, Astrometica is still in early access, and some players have mentioned the developer has been quiet lately with updates, which is always a concern, but what's there right now is genuinely impressive for a small team. The foundation is solid, and the core building mechanics work beautifully. You've got automated mining that feeds resources back to your main base, which is that satisfying factory building loop we all love. The visual design is gorgeous too. Watching your base light up against the darkness of space as you expand it piece by piece never gets old. If you're into sci-fi base building and want something different from the usual planet-based survival games, Astrometica offers a unique experience. Just go in knowing it's early access and set your expectations accordingly. For space-based building enthusiasts, this one's worth watching. Number 19.
Knock, knock.
You know what most survival games get wrong about base building? They make it feel like a chore you have to do before you can get to the real game. Once Human flips that completely, your territory isn't just a storage shed, it's your entire survival infrastructure, and the building system gives you the creative freedom to make it exactly what you need it to be. Let's talk about the territory core system. Press B, drop your territory marker, and boom, you've claimed your piece of the apocalypse. You start with 14.4 square meters, but here's the brilliant part, you can move your entire base anywhere on the map without rebuilding. Found a better spot near aluminum veins or a strategic PvP position? Just press Z in build mode and relocate. Your structures stay intact. That's right, your whole fortress travels with you. For us base builders who've lost hours to wrong location, regret in other games, this is life-changing. The building itself uses a precise grid alignment system that lets you snap foundations, walls, and facilities perfectly into place. You get 300 structure slots, 100 facility slots, and 100 decoration slots by default wooden frames for early game, stone and marble for mid-game fortresses, and every piece, from triangle foundations to skylight windows, designed to work together seamlessly. Want a multi-story industrial citadel? Go for it. Prefer a resort-style base with water features and gold accents? The game won't stop you. The creative freedom here rivals dedicated building games. But Once Human's real genius is how facilities integrate into your base design. You're not just placing decorative objects, you're building a functioning production empire, workbenches for gear crafting, modification benches for weapon upgrades, furnaces and smelters converting copper to bronze alloy, and iron to steel ingots, stoves and fridges preserving food for 15 days. Each facility has durability, requires specific metal tiers, tin for early zones, tungsten for endgame, and serves a purpose beyond aesthetics. You can even double up on furnaces if you have the space, creating actual assembly line efficiency in your base. Then there's the power system. Solar generators and biomass generators produce electricity measured in watts, which you wire through walls and floors using circuit modules to extend range. You'll connect this grid to fridges, automatic doors, lighting for those endless apocalyptic nights, and most importantly, defensive turrets. Managing your power grid during territory purification events or PvP raids becomes a genuine strategic layer. Run out of juice and your defenses go dark. Speaking of defense, Once Human doesn't treat your base as a safe zone you build once and forget. Mutated beasts and corruption storms can raid your territory, players in PvP zones can attack. You need layered wooden walls, elevated firing positions, strategically placed turrets with sensor triggers, and enough power generation to keep everything running during prolonged sieges. Your base layout matters tactically. Choke points, overlapping fields of fire, protected generator rooms. It's tower defense built into your home. And when you outgrow your initial plot, unlock territory expansion in the building memetics tree and instantly upgrade from 14.4 to 32.4 square meters, more than doubling your building space. Plus, you can join a hive with friends, combining your territories for collaborative mega bases with faster crafting speeds and combat bonuses, or save entire base blueprints for instant reconstruction after seasonal server wipes. Once Human treats base building as the core survival mechanic it should be, not an afterthought but your strategic command center, production facility, and fortress all in one. For base builders who want genuine depth alongside creative freedom, this is the one. Number 18. Here's the thing about 7 Days to Die that separates it from every other survival builder. Your base isn't just a house, it's a fortress designed to withstand a literal zombie apocalypse. Every 7 in-game days, a blood moon rises and hundreds of undead come straight for you in an 8-hour siege that lasts from 10 PM to 4 AM. Your base either holds or you're starting over. That pressure transforms building from a creative hobby into strategic engineering. The block progression system is brilliant in its simplicity. You start with wood frames, 600 health points each, and upgrade them through 4 material tiers using your equipped tools. Wood frames become wood blocks with 8 wood, 1,200 health points. Then cobblestone blocks with 10 cobblestone rocks, 1,500 health points. Then concrete blocks with 10 concrete mix, 5,000 health points. And finally, steel blocks with 10 forged steel, 10,000 health points. Each upgrade grants experience points and increases durability exponentially. You can craft blocks directly or upgrade existing structures, and the beauty is you can reshape any block into hundreds of forms. Cubes, ramps, stairs, posts, partial blocks. By holding R and selecting from the shapes menu, it's freeform building with meaningful material consequences. But here's where 7 Days to Die gets tactical. Zombie AI targets structural weak points. They don't just mindlessly attack, they pathfind toward your position and will demolish whatever stands between them and you. This forces you to think defensively. Elevated platforms with choke point entrances create bottlenecks where hordes funnel into kill zones. Multi-layered walls with 2 to 3 block thickness buy you precious repair time. Elevated positions make you harder to reach. Zombies can't jump to ladders that are 2+ blocks off the ground, so you can create entry points only you can access even better. Remove staircase sections mid-horde to strand climbing zombies. The trap and defensive systems integrate seamlessly into your architecture. Blade traps slice through zombie hordes and corridors. Electric fences connected to generators slow and damage approaching enemies. Shotgun turrets and dart traps auto-target threats if you've wired power to them. Landmines create area of effect devastation. Wood spikes and barbed wire fences form perimeter defenses that cripple legs and reduce mobility. You're not just placing decorative defenses, you're engineering overlapping fields of fire, controlling pathing with strategic walls, and creating kill boxes where zombies fall into spike-filled pits while you rain fire from above. Location matters tactically too. Flat elevated terrain gives clear sight lines. Natural barriers like mountains or water reduce entry points. Proximity to resources, clay, stone, iron veins, minimizes dangerous supply runs. Some players even build on bedrock or islands to limit ground level access. Others terraform moats around their bases or use existing POIS, points of interest, as fortified shells, upgrading concrete buildings into steel fortresses. What makes this system genius is how it scales with progression. Early game, you're throwing together cobblestone rectangles 7 blocks high with a single defended opening. By day 21, you need steel reinforced towers with generator-powered turret grids, multi-story platforms, drop traps beneath entry corridors, and enough structural integrity to withstand demolisher zombies and cop acid spit. Blood Moon difficulty increases with your game stage, so your base must evolve from survival shelter to military installation. Every block has durability. Zombies damage them. You repair them between hordes with the same materials used for upgrades. Running out of concrete mix or forged steel mid-siege means watching your walls crumble in real-time resource management isn't abstract. It's life or death when 50 zombies are battering down your steel door at 3:47 a.m. and you're out of repair materials. For base builders who want every construction decision to matter, where structural engineering determines survival and creative freedom exists within brutal tactical constraints, 7 Days to Die delivers like nothing else. Your base isn't art, it's a machine built to kill zombies and keep you breathing through the longest nights of your life. Number 17. Most survival games give you land to build on. Raft gives you 4 foundation tiles floating in an infinite ocean with a man-eating shark circling underneath your base isn't anchored to terrain. It is your terrain. Every square foot of buildable space must be crafted from debris. You hook out of the water and the entire structure drifts endlessly across the sea. It's base building as pure survival, where expansion means collecting enough planks and plastic to literally grow your home one foundation at a time. The building hammer unlocks your construction system, letting you place foundations, walls, floors, roofs, pillars, and hundreds of building pieces using primarily planks, plastic, and nails. Foundations are your currency. Each one expands your raft's footprint horizontally, but here's the genius. You can build vertically too, stacking multiple floors to create towering ocean mansions without consuming more foundations. A 3x3 footprint can become a 3-story structure housing your water purifier, grill, research table, storage chests, crop plots, beehives, and living quarters. Space planning becomes an engineering puzzle where vertical construction solves horizontal limitations. Collection nets are your passive resource gatherers. Hang them from the sides of your raft and they'll automatically catch floating debris. They don't count toward your foundation total, so smart builders replace non-essential foundation tiles with nets to maximize collection area while minimizing the raft's weight. A 10x15 raft with strategic net placement can gather resources like a vessel twice its size while requiring fewer engines to move. Speaking of engines, once you unlock the steering wheel and engine blueprints from the Vasagaten story location, you gain full directional control. One engine pushes up to 100 foundations at slow speed. 2 engines move 100 to 200 foundations at moderate speed. 6 engines hit maximum speed regardless of raft size, though most builders run 2 to 3 engines for efficiency. Engines burn planks, 36 seconds per plank, or biofuel, 12 minutes per canister. Connect biofuel tanks via fuel pipes, and you've automated power distribution, keeping engines running for 48 minutes per tank without manual refueling. It's industrial logistics on a floating platform. Foundation armor is your defensive layer. The shark attacks your raft every 5 minutes, targeting outer foundations and dealing damage that costs resources to repair armor each outer foundation tile with metal ingots and nails, and the shark literally can't damage your raft anymore. Problem solved permanently. It's an upfront investment that eliminates a constant resource drain, and for long-term builders, it's non-negotiable. The research system gates progression beautifully. You start with basic survival tools, but unlocking advanced workbenches, crop plots, engines, recyclers, and battery chargers requires researching blueprints at the research table. You'll need to explore islands, dive reefs, and scavenge story locations to find new blueprints and materials. This ties base expansion directly to exploration. You can't build a self-sustaining farm without visiting islands for dirt and seeds. Can't power electric equipment without finding circuit boards and batteries. Can't refine biofuel without reaching Balboa Island's ranger station. Infrastructure planning becomes critical as your raft grows. Engines need biofuel refiners. Refiners need farms producing raw food and beehives producing honey. Farms need irrigation systems and crop plots. Animals require pens and feeding stations. A fully functional late-game raft easily spans 30 to 40 foundations just for production infrastructure. Not counting living spaces or decoration anchors lets you stop anywhere to explore without your raft drifting away. Throwable anchors are single-use. Stationary anchors placed on 3x3 foundations are permanent solutions. What makes Raft's building system special is how mobility shapes every decision. Your base isn't static, it moves constantly unless anchored. You're not defending a fixed position, you're piloting a growing vessel through story locations while managing resources, production chains, and shark attacks. Building vertically conserves foundations for engines. Placing collection nets strategically maximizes passive gathering. Armoring foundations eliminates threats. Installing biofuel automation extends sailing range. There's no size limit except performance. Builders have created massive ocean fortresses with hundreds of foundations, multi-story complexes with themed rooms, floating farms, and industrial production facilities that dwarf the original 2x2 starting raft. The only constraint is imagination and the willingness to gather materials. For base builders who want survival mechanics that force creative problem solving, where every expansion decision matters because space itself is a resource you must create, Raft delivers an experience unlike anything else you're not building on the world. You're building the world, one plank at a time, while drifting toward the horizon. Number 16. Space engineers redefined sandbox construction with realistic physics and block-based engineering, but after 11 years, the original's aging V-Rage engine couldn't keep up with modern ambitions. Space Engineers 2 isn't an update, it's a complete reimagining built on the new Vrage 3 engine, eliminating the small versus large grid distinction that constrained creativity and introducing building mechanics so intuitive that newcomers can start immediately while veterans find unprecedented depth. This is engineering without artificial limits. The revolutionary 25cm unified grid system changes everything. The original forced you to choose between small grids, detailed machinery, fighter ships, and large grids, capital ships, stations that couldn't seamlessly integrate. Space Engineers 2 unifies them into one coherent 25cm system where intricate components, massive structures, and everything between exist on the same grid. Build a capital ship with functional interior machinery visible through windows. Design space stations where small detailed mechanisms control large-scale operations. Create modular constructions that scale from handheld tools to planet-sized megastructures without grid conversion headaches. It's LEGO engineering where every piece connects naturally, blueprint building streamlines construction dramatically. Partial copy-paste lets you replicate specific design elements. Copy that engine cluster you perfected and paste it throughout your ship. Snap to grid ensures precise alignment without fighting placement systems. Assign blueprints to toolbar for instant access to frequently used components. Grid undo redo means mistakes aren't permanent. Step backward through construction history or restore what you accidentally deleted. Projection building visualizes entire structures before committing resources, letting you plan massive projects and see exactly how they'll look. These aren't quality of life additions, they fundamentally transform how you approach engineering projects. Enhanced creative tools empower ambitious builds. Symmetry tools mirror constructions automatically. Design one side of your ship and watch the other half replicate perfectly. Line and plane building place multiple blocks simultaneously along axes or surfaces, creating walls, corridors, and structural frameworks in seconds instead of minutes. The voxel hand sculpts terrain with precision, carving tunnels through asteroids or terraforming planetary surfaces. The paint tool adds customization beyond functional blocks, letting you color code sections, create faction identifiers, or simply make your creations visually distinct. Volumetric water introduces entirely new engineering challenges. Build underwater bases on ocean floors requiring pressure management and airlocks. Design submarines with functional ballast systems and propulsion optimized for aquatic movement. Engineer across planetary water tables. Drill cliffs beside lakes to create waterfalls. Reroute rivers to fill valleys. Manipulate hydrology dynamically. Water physics integrate fully with the destructible environment, meaning your engineering decisions affect entire ecosystems. It's not decoration, it's simulated H2O responding to construction, destruction, and planetary modification. Backpack building revolutionizes early survival. Craft directly from raw materials in your inventory without requiring established infrastructure. No more dying because you couldn't access a refinery projection building becomes crucial for survival planning, letting you visualize base layouts before gathering resources. Enhanced planets feature diverse biomes and dynamic weather systems that affect construction decisions. Build heat-resistant structures for volcanic regions. Design sealed habitats for toxic atmospheres. Engineer bases that withstand storms, temperature extremes, and environmental hazards specific to biome types. The Almagest system introduces Space Engineer's first story campaign. Human NPCs and factions populate space stations where you trade, accept quests, and encounter AI-driven ships responding to your actions. Your engineering serves narrative purposes. Construct infrastructure supporting colonization efforts. Build specialized equipment for quest objectives. Engineer solutions to challenges involving mysterious ancient technology. The story unfolds through your constructions, making every base, ship, and station narratively significant. PCU performance cost units limits ensure builds remain performant while allowing substantial freedom. Creative mode provides enough PCU for multiple large-scale capital ships or massive space stations. Ongoing optimization promises increasing limits as development continues, but the system already supports significantly more complex constructions than expected, with better performance than the original despite higher visual fidelity. Multiplayer receives critical netcode improvements. Client-server architecture replaces Steam's networking services, with locally hosted games functioning as authoritative servers built collaboratively on massive projects. Orbital shipyards constructed by entire engineering teams. Planetary cities expanding organically. Modular stations growing through collective effort. Competitive PvP servers enable fleet combat where engineering quality determines battle outcomes. Visual revolution through ray-traced global illumination, realistic shadows, tessellated terrain with parallax mapping, and sleek armor edges creates the best-looking sandbox experience of this generation. Dynamic lighting eliminates the original's notorious bleed-through issues. TAA anti-aliasing finally exists. Multi-core CPU optimization and modern rendering techniques mean better performance despite dramatically improved visuals. The redesigned UI makes controls intuitive without sacrificing depth. Veterans access familiar systems faster. Newcomers aren't overwhelmed by complexity. Faster feedback systems communicate information clearly. The steep learning curve that intimidated new players, gone. Replaced with accessible interfaces that still enable sophisticated engineering modding support through Vrage Hub and Vrage Editor will unlock community creativity, continuing the Steam Workshop legacy that produced 500,000 plus player creations in the original early access roadmap. Promises Steam Workshop integration, multiplayer expansion, survival mechanics refinement, and continuous content addition shaped by community feedback over approximately 3 years. For base builders who want engineering that matters, where physics is realistic, destruction is fully simulated, and your constructions serve both creative and functional purposes, whether building underwater research facilities, orbital megastructures, or planetary colonization infrastructure. Space Engineers 2 delivers sandbox construction at engineering simulation depth. Your base isn't decoration. It's functional architecture you designed block by block, solving real physics problems in a universe that rewards clever engineering solutions. And finally, the building system actually cooperates with your vision. Number 15. Windrose takes you back to the age of piracy where the seas are yours to conquer. And every island is a potential homestead. This survival adventure combines the classic build-craft survive formula with naval combat, boarding actions, and seamless ship-to-land gameplay. You start as a betrayed courier stranded in a mysterious world, but what begins as a survival story evolves into something epic involving ancient evils and supernatural forces. Here's where it shines for us builders. The building system welcomes newcomers with one-click blueprints and large modular pieces, but also offers veterans precision rotation, axis nudging, and preview mode for detailed construction. Players have already built entire Spanish and British-inspired mansions using the in-game systems, from humble shacks to grand estates. Turn your shelter into a fully operational outpost, recruit crew members to speed up harvesting and production, and watch your settlement grow into a living, breathing pirate haven. Your personal island is yours to cultivate indefinitely. A private space for solo play or co-op with friends, with planned features including wandering merchants, quest givers, and potential shipmates who arrive at your harbor. But it's not just about building. Unlike typical survival games, Windrose features a Souls-like inspired combat system with precise timing, smart dodging, and carefully placed attacks, complemented by gunpowder weapons like pistols and muskets. Face challenging bosses, master a vast arsenal of melee weapons and firearms, and put your loadouts to the test. The alpha offers 30 to 40 hours of gameplay across 3 unique biomes, multiple ships, ground and naval combat, and an early prototype of Tortuga social hub. Whether you sail solo or with up to 3 friends in co-op, Windrose promises that pirate fantasy we've been craving. And for those wondering, players are already calling it the skull and bones we actually wanted. Number 14. HUMANITZ is a top-down, open-world survival game that throws you into a post-apocalyptic nightmare crawling with zombies, or Zeeks as the game calls them, and hostile NPCs who'll shoot you on sight. Unlike most zombie games where you're running around in first person, this one gives you that classic Project Zomboid perspective where you're looking down at the chaos. You'll scavenge for supplies, manage hunger and thirst, deal with infection, and most importantly for us base builders, construct fortified compounds to survive the night. And trust me, when those nightly raids hit, you're gonna want walls. Lots of them. Now here's where HUMANITZ gets interesting for the base building crowd. This game gives you true freeform construction. No pre-existing bases with fixed slots. No predetermined building locations. You can literally build anywhere on the map using a modular system of prefab pieces. Walls, floors, gates, crafting stations, storage containers, defensive structures. It's the kind of creative freedom that makes you dangerous once you understand the systems. The beauty of HUMANITZ is the dual approach to base building. Option 1. Find an existing building, a house, garage, fire station, storage facility, and fortify it. You can board up windows, reinforce doors, build walls around the perimeter, and turn any structure into your fortress. The game even lets you deconstruct debris inside buildings to clean them up. Option 2. Build from absolute scratch in an open field or parking lot. Personally, I prefer finding a strategic location with natural advantages, like a fenced compound or a storage facility with limited entry points, and building around it. Let's talk about the building system itself. Everything starts with wooden structures. You'll craft wooden walls, wooden gates, wooden floors. But here's the key mechanic that took me embarrassingly long to figure out. Once you place a wooden structure, you can upgrade it. Look at the right side of your screen after placing a wall, and you'll see upgrade options. Wooden wall becomes reinforced wall, becomes metal barbed wall. Same concept for gates and other defensive structures. This progression system means you're not locked into weak defenses early. You're building the foundation for an impenetrable fortress. The crafting station hierarchy is critical. You need a workbench as your first priority. This unlocks advanced crafting recipes and becomes the hub of your base operations. Then you want a campfire or cooking stove for food preparation. Chemistry station for medical crafting, crucial for dealing with blood plague infections. Table saw for processing logs into usable wood planks. Each station has specific recipes it unlocks, and positioning them efficiently in your base becomes part of the puzzle. Storage is is where HUMANITZ differs from a lot of survival games. You can literally drop items on the ground and they won't despawn. I've seen players create organized loot piles by item type, clothes here, weapons there, car parts over there, but eventually you'll want proper storage. Weapon crates hold firearms, storage lockers handle bulk items, and here's a pro tip: find a location near 8 storage lockers and a gun shop. Grid 3E in Arrington is community favorite for a reason. Defense isn't optional, it's survival. The game features RNG-based raids where zombies or hostile NPCs will attack your base at night, sometimes both back-to-back. You need layered defenses, outer perimeter walls with gates, barbed wire to slow attackers, spike traps at choke points, elevated positions for shooting down at threats. Some players get creative and use parked vehicles as mobile barricades. Others build elevated bases where storage and crafting stations sit on rooftops, completely out of reach. Vehicle integration is huge. Cars aren't just transportation, they're mobile storage units. The camper van has a built-in cooking stove. Trucks can haul logs, and parking vehicles strategically can block entry points without using materials. Plus, with the mechanic profession, you'll maintain vehicles significantly better, which matters when car parts are scarce. Resource production rounds out your base infrastructure. Rain collectors provide water, essential for survival, and some crafting recipes. Farms generate food daily. CB radios let you call in traders who sell car parts, weapons, medical supplies, and fuel. The trick is finding that balance between defense, production, and utility within your limited building materials. Base location strategy is endgame thinking. Fire stations offer multiple vehicle bays with limited entry points. Storage facilities have natural perimeter fencing. Garages provide easy access to car repair materials. And if you're on a PvP server, you want multiple layers of walls, hidden storage on elevated platforms, and your best gear in the hardest to reach spots. The metagame becomes optimizing for both PvE zombie hordes and PvP bandit raids. Single player focused players build self-sufficient compounds with farming and water collection. Multiplayer raiders build compact, heavily fortified bases with minimal entry points. Nomadic players establish outposts across the map rather than one mega base. HUMANITZ proves that top-down perspective doesn't limit base building depth. When you combine freeform placement, upgradable structures, strategic location selection, and genuine raid threats, you get a survival game where your base is your lifeline. And when you finally perfect that multi-level fortress with reinforced metal walls, organized storage, full production capabilities, and kill zones at every entrance, that's the base building satisfaction we're all chasing. Number 13. Vain is what happens when someone asks, what if Project Zomboid was in first person with realistic graphics and taken to the absolute extreme? This is hardcore survival simulation where you're tracking not just hunger and thirst, but specific vitamin deficiencies, psychological stress, individual injuries that need proper treatment, and a skill system with 20 different abilities to level. The map is massive, a recreation of New York's Champlain Valley, with real towns, forests, and hundreds of buildings. And here's the kicker for us base builders. You don't build bases from scratch. You claim existing structures and fortify them into impenetrable fortresses. Let me explain why this approach is brilliant. Instead of spending hours placing individual wall pieces in an empty field, you're scouting real locations with strategic value. That fire station with 2 vehicle bays and roof access? Perfect. The High Noon Plaza with industrial freezers, flat roofs for solar panels, and on-site gas pumps? Endgame material. That island house accessible only by a single bridge? Natural choke point heaven. Vain turns base building into real estate strategy where location matters more than construction skill. Everything revolves around the utility cabinet. This is your land claim, your spawn blocker, and your auto repair station rolled into one craftable box. Place a UC in a building and an orange radius appears showing your buildable area. Within that radius, 3 critical things happen. Zombies stop spawning, container loot stops respawning, and any structures you build get automatically repaired as long as you feed the cabinet materials. Without a UC, you're just visiting. With a UC, you own the property. But here's the genius mechanic that makes Vane's system scalable. You can place multiple UCs. Want to claim that entire prison complex? Drop 6 or 7 cabinets throughout the buildings. Want to secure an entire island? Place enough UCs to blanket the area, then build a wall and gate at the bridge choke point. Each cabinet needs materials for maintenance: wood, metal, concrete, but the territorial control is absolute. No zombie spawns, no loot respawns, complete security within your claimed zones. The fortification system runs on 4 tiers, and understanding the progression is critical. Tier 1 is wood scrap, fast to build, breaks easily, vulnerable to everything. Think of it as temporary barricades for windows and doors. Tier 2 is fortified wood, significantly stronger, requires proper tools and materials, holds up against basic zombie hordes. Tier 3 is limestone brick. Now we're talking fortress construction. You're mining limestone, grinding it to powder, making concrete paste, and building structures that zombies can't touch. Tier 4 is scrap metal, endgame defense designed for PvP. Only explosives damage these fortifications. Building mechanics use a smart snapping system. Look at an existing fortification, fence, wall, barricade, and a new one appears positioned next to it. Mouse wheel rotates your placement. This lets you create perfect 90-degree corners and seamless defensive perimeters without measuring or guessing. The trick is building from high ground down to low ground for perfect horizontal alignment. Fences sink into terrain naturally, following the landscape while maintaining structural integrity. Storage strategy differs from typical survival games because you're working with existing buildings. Find that garage with tool cabinets? Those are yours now. Industrial freezers at the plaza. Stack them with preserved food that decays slower. You can build additional storage, crate shelves, barrels, weapon racks. But smart players utilize existing infrastructure first. Hang loaded weapons on walls for quick access during raids. Park vehicles in garages as mobile storage units. Use that professional kitchen for cooking stations. The progression curve pushes you toward better locations as you develop. Early game, any house with a door works. Mid game, fire stations and garages with vehicle bays and workshop space. Late game, massive compounds like the prison complex, the plaza with multiple buildings, or strategic islands with limited access points. Larger bases attract bigger hordes though, so expansion requires genuine defensive preparation. Here's what separates Vane from other survival-based builders: realism constraints that enhance gameplay. You can't build custom buildings because realistically, pouring foundations and framing structures takes months with professional crews. Instead, you're doing what actual survivors would do, finding the best existing shelter and fortifying it with available materials, boarding windows, reinforcing doors, building perimeter fences, creating safe zones within claimed territory. The metagame becomes location scouting and resource efficiency. Solo players find compact houses near loot and resources. Squads claim sprawling complexes with multiple UCs, creating interconnected safe zones. PvP players build on islands or elevated positions with controlled access points. Everyone's calculating proximity to resources, natural defenses, roof access for solar and farming, vehicle storage capacity, and expansion potential. Vane proves that limiting building options doesn't limit strategic depth, it focuses it. When you can't build anywhere, every location decision matters. When fortifications require progression through material tiers, defense becomes genuine investment. When the utility cabinet system lets you claim entire neighborhoods by placing multiple units, base building scales from survival shelter to territorial control. And when you've transformed that dingy fire station into a fully operational compound with solar power, vehicle bays, farming plots, and tier 3 fortifications, that's the realistic survival base building experience that Project Zomboid fans have been waiting for. Number 12. Project Zomboid is the game that started it all for many of us. The isometric zombie survival game that's been in early access since 2013 and somehow still feels more complete than most finished survival games. This isn't a flashy 3D survival experience. It's top-down, methodical, and absolutely brutal. Permadeath is guaranteed. The question isn't if you'll die, but when. And in this unforgiving landscape, base building becomes the ultimate long-term project. You're not building to win, you're building because creating something permanent in a world of decay is what keeps you playing past day 100. What makes Project Zomboid's base building special is the complete creative freedom through the carpentry skill system. You're not working with prefab structures or modular snap-together pieces. You're placing individual wall sections, floor tiles, door frames, windows, stairs, everything built piece by piece. Want a 2-story compound with a rooftop farm and rain collection system? Build it. Want to fortify an existing warehouse into a multi-level fortress? Do it. Want to construct a bridge over water connecting 2 buildings? Absolutely possible. The only limits are your carpentry level and available materials. Carpentry progression gates your building capabilities in a way that feels natural. Level 0 lets you build basic wooden walls and barricade windows. Level 2 unlocks wooden doors and better walls. Level 4 gives you double doors and stronger structures. Level 6, the big milestone, unlocks stairs and rooftops, letting you build vertically. Level 7 gets you log walls, the strongest vanilla defense. Each level also improves construction speed and health of built objects. Starting as a carpenter occupation gives you massive advantage, but even without it, you're reading skill books and grinding XP by building practice walls. Materials are the constant grind. Planks and nails are your bread and butter. Nails spawn in warehouses, sheds, garages, toolboxes, but they're finite. You scavenge or dismantle furniture for more. Planks come from lumber piles or sawing logs with a handsaw. 1 tree equals 1 log. 1 log becomes 4 planks. You'll need hundreds. Then there's sheet metal for reinforced structures, hinges for doors, doorknobs, screws, various tools. The material economy in Project Zomboid is legitimate resource management, not the infinite crafting loops in other games. The genius of the system is the dual approach. Fortify existing structures or build from scratch. Most players start by claiming a house. Board windows with planks. Reinforce doors. Build interior walls to create safe rooms. Add sheet rope escape routes from upper floors. Then they expand outward, walling off yards, building garages for vehicles, creating perimeter fences. Eventually you're adding second stories to single floor houses, building watchtowers, constructing entire annexes, but dedicated builders go full custom. Find open land and construct from foundation up. Place wooden floor tiles for your footprint. Build walls section by section. Add door frames and hang doors. Construct stairs to a second level. Place floor tiles for the second story. Build walls and add a roof. Plumb rain barrels on the roof to sinks below for clean water. The isometric view makes complex multi-story structures challenging but deeply satisfying when you nail the design. Defense strategy revolves around layered protection. Wooden walls are your first line. Log walls at high carpentry levels become incredibly strong. Zombies will attack walls if they see you through windows or hear noise, so you board up windows and add curtains. Some players exploit the furniture fence glitch. Place a table or crate. Build fence in front of it. Zombies can't climb or break it. Others build elevated bases with knocked out stairs, though Build 41 made rope ladders destructible, changing that meta. The plumbing system adds another building dimension. Rain collector barrels on roofs connected to sinks below provide infinite clean water, essential for long-term survival. You're literally designing water filtration systems using game mechanics. Generators power your base once electricity shuts off, requiring fuel but enabling refrigerators, lights, and electric tools. Planning generator placement with fuel storage becomes architecture considerations. Location selection depends on playstyle. Louisville offers maximum loot but insane zombie density, veteran territory. Rosewood has fewer zombies, perfect for beginners, but limited resources. West Point and Muldra are middle ground options. Many players prefer rural farms with existing fencing and agricultural space. Some build deep in forests where zombie spawns are minimal, but resource runs require long trips. The community has pushed building to absurd levels. Players construct entire self-sufficient compounds with farms, workshops, medical bays, armories, vehicle garages, and living quarters. Some build replica structures from other media. Others make functioning towns in multiplayer servers. The debug mode lets you copy and paste tiles, enabling even more creative mega projects. After 10+ years of development, the building meta has evolved into legitimate architecture. And here's what keeps people coming back. Your base is your legacy. When you finally die, and you will die, that base remains. In multiplayer, other players discover it. In single player, you start a new character in the same world and can return to your creation, now overrun and decayed. That impermanence makes every base meaningful. You're not building for stats or achievements. You're building because in a game about inevitable death, construction is defiance. Project Zomboid proves that isometric perspective doesn't limit base building depth. It enables enables it. When you give players piece-by-piece construction freedom, skill-based progression, and meaningful resource scarcity, base building becomes the endgame content. And when you finally stand on your rooftop farm overlooking your walled compound at sunset on day 200, watching zombies mill around outside your impenetrable walls, that's why we're still playing a game that's been in early access for over a decade, because the building is that good. Number 11. Lost Rift drops you into a first-person survival shooter set on a mysterious archipelago. Picture this. You and up to 4 buddies wake up on a deserted island. You've got crafting benches, base modules, turrets, the works, your own little sanctuary. But once you're geared, it's time for the good stuff. Extraction runs into PvPvE zones. These are high-risk, high-reward AI enemies, wild weather, and other players all gunning for the same loot. If you survive and extract, you get seriously good gear for your home base. It's forest meets hunt, showdown with a base building twist, plus dynamic storms and day-night cycles that can wreck your garden if you're not ready. The demo just dropped for Steam Next Fest and the playtest was lit. Early access is vibing with test waves, including me. If you're into survival games with real stakes and a team grind, Lost Rift's gonna be one to watch. Number 10. Icarus, and this one has a unique twist on base building that some people love and others find frustrating, but hear me out on why it works. Available exclusively on PC via Steam, Icarus is a session-based survival game from the team at Rocketworks, the creators of DAYZ. You're prospectors dropping onto this terraformed planet that went horribly wrong, and you've got limited time to build, gather resources, and extract before you lose everything. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, I lose my base? Yes and no. Here's the genius of it. There's 2 modes. In the mission-based mode, you're building temporary bases knowing they'll be gone, which actually creates this intense, focused building experience. You're not overthinking. You're building what you need to survive and complete objectives. But then there's outpost mode, where you build permanently, and that's where the real base building shines. The building system itself is incredibly detailed. You start with basic thatch and wood structures, but you can progress through stone, concrete, and eventually high-tech materials. The modular construction system lets you build everything from simple shelters to elaborate multi-story compounds with electricity, automated defenses, and even biodomes for farming. What I love is the engineering aspect. You can set up conveyor systems, automated ore processors, and complex power grids using solar panels and biofuel generators. Your base isn't just a house, it's a functioning industrial operation. Plus, the game supports up to 8 players in co-op, so you can build massive collaborative settlements. The building pieces snap together satisfyingly, and there's enough variety to create unique structures. You've got different wall types, window configurations, doors with actual locking mechanisms, and furniture that serves functional purposes. The game even simulates structural integrity, so you need to think about support beams and foundations. Icarus continues to get substantial updates. They just added new biomes and building sets with their recent expansions. The developers are actively adding more construction options, and the community is constantly showing off incredible base designs. Yeah, the session-based nature takes getting used to, but once you embrace it or switch to outpost mode, you've got one of the more technically impressive building systems out there. The game's got that satisfying weight to construction that makes every completed building feel substantial. Number 9. DAYZ is the godfather of hardcore survival, the original Arma 2 mod that spawned an entire genre and turned Bohemia Interactive into survival game royalty. This is brutal, unforgiving, permadeath survival where you can spend 40 hours gearing up only to get one-tapped by a sniper you never saw. Zombies are a threat, but players are the real danger. And in this cutthroat environment, base building wasn't even added until 2018. years after standalone launch. That tells you something important. DAYZ isn't about settling down, it's about nomadic survival. But when you do build, you're making a statement. Here's what makes DAYZ base building unique compared to every other game we've covered. Minimalism by design. You don't get modular building systems with foundations, walls, and roofs. You get fences, watchtowers, and the ability to barricade existing structures. That's it in vanilla. No custom compounds from scratch. No snapping floor pieces together. You're working with prefabricated fence kits and tower kits that you assemble section by section. It's deliberately limited, and that limitation creates interesting strategic choices. The fence is your primary building block. Craft a fence kit from 2 sticks and rope. Place it on the ground, bury 2 logs with a shovel to create the foundation. Then you build the frame. Upper and lower sections requiring 4 planks and 8 nails each. Finally, clad both sections with 5 planks and 10 nails per section. One complete fence panel demands 18 planks and 36 nails total. Now multiply that by however many panels you need for a perimeter. Resource gathering is the real grind in DAYZ base building. Watchtowers follow similar logic but vertical. 3-story structures requiring fence kits, logs, planks, nails, and eventually metal sheets for the roof. Each level uses the same fence construction process. You're essentially stacking 3 fence sections on top of each other, adding platforms and stairs. The resource cost is massive, which is exactly why most DAYZ players never build them. You need lumberyards, industrial areas, and massive time investment just for basic structures. Security comes down to combination locks, and this is where DAYZ gets brutal. Vanilla offers 2 lock types: blue 3-digit locks with 1,000 combinations, and red 4-digit locks with 10,000 combinations. Here's the nightmare. You must dial the combination every single time you open a gate. No saved codes, no one-time entry like modded code locks. Stand there spinning dials while hoping nobody shoots you in the back. That 30-second vulnerability is why airlock design matters. Build gates inside barns so you can close exterior doors before unlocking your actual base entrance. But here's the cruel reality veteran players know. 3-digit locks can be brute forced in 10 to 15 minutes. 4-digit locks take 1 to 2 hours if someone's determined. Players start at 500 or 5,000 and work upward because most people pick numbers in the upper half. Birth years, sequential patterns, all crackable. Lockpicking isn't some advanced skill, it's patience and a notepad. Your base security relies entirely on concealment, not lock strength. Raiding mechanics favor attackers. Melee weapons work but take 60 to 90 minutes of constant hammering per wall. Firearms are faster but loud. You're announcing free loot here to the entire server. Plastic explosives, 2C4 charges destroy a metal wall instantly. Grenades, mines, claymores, all work but require tons of materials. The fastest raid method is cracking the lock, which is why 4-digit codes are mandatory, and even then you're vulnerable. This brings us to the fundamental DAYZ base building philosophy: concealment over security. Build in dense forests, not near towns. Use camouflage netting religiously. Small footprints beat fortresses. Players describe bases so well hidden they couldn't find them at 100 feet, knowing exact coordinates. Elevation helps avoid sniper angles. Avoid high traffic areas completely. That church in the city center with 1 entrance. Terrible idea despite seeming defensible. Everyone checks churches for loot. The meta strategy? Many veterans don't build bases at all. Buried stashes in the woods, barrels hidden in bushes, tents camouflaged under trees, 0 visual profile, impossible to raid without stumbling across them randomly. The infinite backpack stacking glitch means dedicated nomads live out of vehicles, entire bases in a truck, completely mobile. When your base can drive away, raiders can't touch it. Modded servers completely transform the experience. Base Building Plus adds proper modular construction with rotation mechanics and new building parts. RA Base Building brings Rust-style building with garage doors, ladder hatches, compounds, 3 material tiers, and territory upkeep systems. Code lock mods replace vanilla combination locks with one-time entry systems and hacksaw raiding mechanics. Expansion adds comprehensive base building overhauls. Modded DAYZ becomes a different game entirely, actually comparable to Rust or Scum rather than minimal vanilla fortifications. But vanilla's minimalism is intentional design philosophy. DAYZ is about tension and loss, bases you can't truly defend, locks that crack with patience, raids that succeed through determination. Everything is temporary, nothing is safe. That's the point. In most survival games, your base is sanctuary. In DAYZ, it's just another thing you'll eventually lose. DAYZ proves that limiting base building doesn't make survival less intense. It makes it more so. When your only options are fence panels and watchtowers, when locks crack with patience, when concealment is your only real defense, base building becomes high-stakes gambling. And when you log in after 3 days to find your gate combination picked and everything stolen, that's authentic DAYZ, brutal, unforgiving, and why we keep coming back. Number 8. Let's be honest, most base building games give you a cozy house to decorate. Satisfactory hands you a 30 square kilometer alien planet and says, build a factory that processes millions of items per hour across multiple production tiers, and make it look good doing it. This isn't base building, this is industrial engineering from a first-person perspective, where your base is a sprawling network of automated production lines, conveyor highways, and power grids that would make a logistics manager weep with joy. The conveyor belt system is the backbone of everything. Belts transport items between buildings at different throughput rates. Mankey 1 handles 60 items per minute. Mark 2 does 120, scaling up to Mark 6 at 1,200 items per minute. Connect a miner's output to a belt, route it to smelters, split the output to constructors using splitters, 1 input, 3 outputs. Merge multiple production lines with mergers, 3 inputs, 1 output, and suddenly you've got automated iron plate production running 24/7 without touching a single item manually. Belts snap to building ports and conveyor poles, can be built in straight lines or curves, and physically show every item traveling along them. Watching resources flow through your factory is genuinely mesmerizing. But horizontal building is just the beginning. Satisfactory's genius is vertical construction. Stack foundations to create multi-story factories. Smelters on ground level, constructors on floor 2, assemblers on floor 3. Use conveyor lifts to transport items between floors at rates matching belt throughput, up to 1,200 items per minute on Mi K6 lifts. Stackable conveyor poles let you run belt highways at different elevations, creating bus systems that ferry materials across your factory without clogging walkways. You can attach splitters and mergers directly to conveyor lifts mid-height for modular vertical logistics. Build logistics floors, hidden levels between production floors where belt spaghetti can run wild without cluttering your clean assembly lines above reserve 7 to 11 meters of headspace for these utility levels to stack 3 or 4 belts vertically. Foundations are your building canvas. Snap them to grids. Hold control for precise rotation and positioning. Create flat surfaces on uneven terrain, and use them as structural bases for machines, walls, and multi-story complexes. You can build production platforms in canyons, over water, at mountain peaks. Terrain doesn't limit you, it just changes your engineering challenges. Floor holes let conveyor lifts pass between levels cleanly. Wall-mounted power outlets hide power lines inside foundations. 2 splitters or mergers fit perfectly on 1 foundation tile without clipping. Power management adds genuine strategic depth. Early game relies on biomass burners, manual fuel from leaves and wood. Mid-game unlocks coal generators requiring automated coal mining, water pumps, and pipe networks. Late game brings oil, nuclear, and eventually geothermal power. Power poles connect generators to machines via visible electrical lines. Each pole has connection limits, so you organize grids by production area, overclock machines with power shards crafted from collectible slugs to boost output 250%, but power consumption scales exponentially. Run out of electricity and your entire factory shuts down until you restore the grid pipes handle liquid transport, water, oil, fuel, acids, with flow rates measured in cubic meters per minute. Pumps lift fluids vertically, junctions split and merge pipe networks. You'll build refineries converting crude oil into fuel, plastic, and rubber, each requiring precise pipe routing and fluid buffer management to prevent production stalls. Transportation scales beautifully. Walk and hand carry materials early on. Unlock factory carts running on conveyor belts for automated item transport. Build trucks with autopilot routes connecting distant outposts. Construct train networks spanning kilometers with automated schedules hauling thousands of items between megabases. Hypertubes launch you through pneumatic tubes at high speed. jetpacks and jump pads provide vertical mobility. You're not just building factories, you're creating continent-spanning logistics networks. The space elevator progression system gates technology through tiers. Complete projects requiring increasingly complex components, from iron rods to supercomputers to nuclear pasta, to unlock advanced buildings, alternate recipes, and higher-tier production capabilities. Each tier demands factory expansion, forcing you to scale production, optimize throughput, and engineer solutions to bottlenecks. The MAM, Molecular Analysis Machine, researches alien artifacts and hard drives containing alternate recipes that dramatically change production efficiency. What makes Satisfactory special for builders is how it combines creative freedom with optimization obsession. You can build gorgeous glass-walled factories with perfect symmetry, or embrace conveyor belt spaghetti, where efficiency trumps aesthetics. Build modular blueprints, replicating production blocks. Design men bus systems, feeding materials to specialized manufacturing wings. Create self-contained production pods for specific components. The only limit is your imagination and willingness to plan throughput calculations. For base builders who want every construction decision to affect industrial efficiency, where building isn't decoration but functional engineering that must balance throughput, power consumption, and spatial logistics across massive scales. Satisfactory is unmatched. Your factory never sleeps, and watching it hum with automated perfection is profoundly, well, satisfactory. Number 7.
Survive the realms and rebuild all that has been lost.
Nightingale, a game that combines Victorian gaslamp fantasy with estate building in the mysterious Fey realms. Currently in early access on PC via Steam and Epic Games Store since February 2024, Nightingale had a bit of a rocky launch, but the developers at Inflection Games have been steadily transforming it into something special. And from a base building perspective, this game has some genuinely unique ideas. The core concept is building estates, not just bases, but proper Victorian mansions and settlements using an elaborate tileset system. You're working with architectural pieces that actually snap together to form coherent structures. We're talking stone foundations, wooden frames, various wall types with wallpaper options, different roof styles, windows with actual glass panes, and doors with intricate designs. The aesthetic is pure Victorian elegance meets fantasy, and it's gorgeous. What sets Nightingale apart is the level of interior customization. You're not just building walls, you're decorating entire estates with functional furniture, workstations, storage solutions, and decorative items. The game has hundreds of building and crafting recipes, and you're encouraged to make your estate feel lived in. You can build libraries, bedrooms, workshops, kitchens, and even conservatories. The furniture isn't just for show either. Beds let you rest, chairs provide comfort bonuses, and different crafting stations are needed for progression. The building system also allows for impressive scale. You can create massive multi-story estates with balconies, towers, and courtyards. The tile sets include multiple architectural styles, so you can mix and match or keep everything uniform. One of the recent updates added even more building flexibility, including increased structure limits and improved building tools. Here's something cool. Nightingale now has an offline mode, which was a huge community request. You can build without needing an internet connection, which is perfect for those long building sessions. The game also features a comfort system where well-furnished, aesthetically pleasing estates provide actual gameplay bonuses. Now, I'll be real with you, Nightingale still has that early access feel in some areas. The game currently has mixed reviews on Steam at 68% positive, and some players feel the world can feel empty despite how beautiful it is. But from a pure base building standpoint, the estate system is one of the more elegant implementations I've seen. The Realms Rebuilt update that dropped earlier this year overhauled the progression system and added more structure to the building experience. If you're into building beautiful, detailed Victorian estates in a fantasy setting, and you don't mind supporting an early access game that's actively being improved, Nightingale offers something different. Plus, it was just free on Epic Games Store in October, so there's a fresh influx of players. The base building here is about creating a home that feels like a refuge from the dangerous Fey wilds, and it succeeds at that fantasy. Number 6. Bellwright launched on April 23rd, 2024, less than 8 months ago, and it just dropped the Maiden Voyage update on December 9th, 2025. In that short window, this went from interesting medieval survival with potential to a full RPG experience with a massive expansion that's literally the size of the original game. This is early access done right. Bellwright launched as this ambitious medieval town-building survival RPG from Donkey Crew, the folks behind Last Oasis, and the pitch was immediately compelling. You play as a peasant framed for murdering the prince, sentenced to death, barely escape execution, and now you're leading a rebellion against the evil queen who's oppressing the kingdom of Carvania. You're building settlements, recruiting NPCs, liberating villages, and uncovering the conspiracy behind why you were framed. The core gameplay at launch was solid. You started gathering sticks and stones, built your first shack, chose where to place your settlement, not too close to villages where you can't harvest resources, not too far from quest hubs. Standard survival loop, get a workbench, research table, unlock tools like axes and pickaxes. But here's where Bellwright differentiated itself: the NPC recruitment system. Villages were occupied by enemy factions. You'd complete quests, find items, deal with bandit camps, navigate village drama, and earn 3 key resources: gold for trading, trust for village reputation, and renown to actually recruit people. 4 trust tiers: associate, friend, protector, Bellwright. As you climbed ranks, you could recruit better villagers, beggars at associate, citizens at friend, skilled apprentices higher up. At protector rank, you could liberate the entire village from faction control. Once recruited, NPCs joined your settlement with their own skill spreads: combat attributes like strength and agility, work attributes like harvesting, farming, cooking, crafting, research, labor. Every NPC had max skill caps, so a level 9 harvester would have 70% productivity bonus over a level 2. You'd assign priorities to buildings and activities, eventually managing 50 to 100 production buildings and 50 plus people in an automated economy. Some NPCs had traits. Coward made them weak in combat, tireless boosted endurance, marksman specialized in bows but weakened melee. Morale mattered too. Feed them berries for weeks and they're miserable. Give them nice houses late game and they're productive. The 79% positive rating is holding steady while the game adds massive features. The Village's 2.0 update in November proved they were committed to polish. Maiden Voyage in December proved they were committed to ambition. This is what early access should look like. Launch with a strong foundation. Bellwright had that from day one with its settlement automation, NPC recruitment, directional combat, and narrative quest lines. Then use early access to listen to the community and execute on the obvious gaps. Defensive walls? Done. Weapon variety? Done. Endgame content? Here's an entire expansion, and they're not stopping. The roadmap still includes cavalry, which is why spears just got added. Fortifications beyond palisades, more regions, expanded story, more progression tiers. Number 5. Remember the Forest's clunky blueprint system where you placed ghosted structures and filled them with logs? Sons of the Forest said, what if we let players actually build, and introduced a freeform construction system that transforms base building from template placement into genuine carpentry? You're holding logs, sticks, and rocks manually, and the game gives you visual guidelines showing exactly where and how pieces connect. It's first-person construction that feels tactile, creative, and infinitely more flexible than its predecessor. The dual building system gives you 2 approaches. Press B to open your guidebook, and you're in the new freeform mode by default. A visual reference showing construction techniques while you place materials freely. Hold X to switch to classic mode, which brings back blueprint structures for quick shelters. Tarp tents requiring just a tarp and 2 sticks. Hunting shelters, small log cabins, lookout towers. Blueprints are perfect for fast survival setups when cannibals are closing in, but freeform building is where Sons of the Forest shines. Here's how manual construction works. Grab a log, your primary building material from felled trees, and white dashed guidelines appear showing placement options. Place 4 log stumps vertically to mark foundation corners. This levels uneven terrain automatically. Lay horizontal logs between vertical supports to create walls. Stack them 6 logs high, one more than the forest's 5 log walls, to build perimeter defenses. Place whole logs horizontally for roof beams, and the game shows moving arrows indicating orientation. Right-click to change laying direction. Split logs in half with your axe to fill gaps without wasting materials. Each placement triggers new dashed line prompts showing what you can add next. Doors, windows, stairs, reinforcements. Defensive structures are crucial because cannibals and mutants actively attack your base. Build defensive walls by placing vertical logs next to each other, then use your axe on the red dotted prompts at log tops to sharpen them into spikes. Sharpened defensive walls prevent enemies from climbing over. Regular walls can be scaled. Surround your base with stick structures adorned with body parts, crafted from, well, you know, to signal dominance and scare off potential attackers. Build log fences as perimeters. Install traps. Small animal traps for food, bone maker traps setting humanoids on fire, fly swatter traps for big game, hokey pokey traps with swinging spiked balls, lockable doors keep intruders out, elevated tree shelters, 2x2 log platforms attached to trees provide height advantage and safety. Reinforcement is critical for structural integrity. Strengthen wooden pillars by placing rocks or half logs diagonally at upper corners. Curved arrows appear showing reinforcement points. This increases durability against attacks and allows you to remove redundant interior pillars in larger buildings, creating open floor plans without losing stability. The guidebook shows reinforcement techniques for pillars, roofs, and foundations. Resource gathering becomes your primary activity. Logs are everything. You'll need hundreds for substantial bases. Chop trees with your axe. They fall in the direction you're facing, so aim carefully to avoid injury. Send Kelvin, your AI companion, to collect logs continuously while you build. Set up log collectors near construction sites to stockpile materials. Sticks, stones, and rope are found in camps, crash sites, and caves. Location matters strategically. Build near water sources for hydration, and fish forest clearings offer visibility to spot approaching threats. Mountain areas provide defensible high ground. Beach shores give open sight lines. Avoid the helicopter crash site and GPS markers. They attract cannibals. Best defensive location, build on non-freezing rivers where cannibals can't reach you easily. Multi-story construction uses vertical logs as supports and horizontal logs as floor layers. Build stairs by placing logs at angles. Guidelines show proper stair placement. Create interior rooms by partitioning walls. Add doors by chopping holes into walls. Hit red dotted lines with your axe, then place logs following prompts. Windows work similarly. Build fireplaces inside structures for heating and cooking. Rain catchers collect water, unusable during winter when they freeze. Standing planters and wall planters grow food from seeds during warm seasons. Utility buildings expand functionality. Storage units organize resources. Skull lamps light areas. Scarecrows prevent birds from stealing crops. Birdhouses passively collect feathers for arrows. The repair tool fixes structural damage after attacks. Minor damage repairs quickly, but total destruction requires complete rebuilds. What makes Sons of the Forest building special is how physical it feels. You're not clicking menus, you're holding logs, positioning them manually, watching dashed guidelines appear as you rotate pieces, hearing the thunk as materials snap into place. Split a log with your axe and the other half flies off realistically. Drop it with G first to control where pieces land. Build a foundation on uneven ground and watch it adapt to terrain contours. Construct walls that actually block enemies. Create custom layouts impossible with blueprints. Angled roofs, multi-wing structures, fortified compounds with overlapping defenses. Your base evolves from a tarp tent on day 1 to a fortified compound with defensive perimeters, elevated platforms, secured storage, farming infrastructure, and living quarters. Kelvin can finish blueprint structures you start but can't do freeform construction. That creativity is all yours. Virginia, your other companion, doesn't build but will help defend for base builders who want survival construction that feels genuinely hands-on, where you're placing every log manually and seeing structures emerge from your physical labor while cannibals prowl the tree line waiting for nightfall. Sons of the Forest delivers primal satisfaction. Your shelter isn't spawned from a menu. You built it, log by log. Number 4. The Alters launched on June 13th, 2025, and within 6 months, it transformed from one of the year's most stressful survival management games into something you can play with a beer in one hand while vibing to the story. And that's not a criticism, that's a masterclass in listening to your player base. So let me set the stage. The Alters is this sci-fi survival game from 11-Bit Studios, the folks behind this War of Mine and Frostpunk, which should immediately tell you what kind of emotional damage we're dealing with here. You play as Jan Dolsky, a space miner who crash lands on this hostile planet where one of the suns will literally incinerate everything when it rises. You've got days, not weeks, days, to get your wheel-shaped mobile base operational and escape before sunrise turns you into space dust. But here's the hook. Your entire crew died in the crash. You're alone. One guy trying to do the work of an entire technical team. Scientists, doctors, miners, botanists, all gone. So the game introduces you to Rapidium, this resource that lets you create alters. Alternate versions of yourself based on different life choices Jan could have made. Maybe in one timeline, Jan became a doctor. Maybe in another, he went to work at a refinery instead of going to university. Every alter has different skills, different personalities, different memories of a life they actually lived. And managing these versions of yourself is where the game gets intense. Because at launch, the Alters was built around time pressure. Everything takes time. Mining takes a chunk of your day. Crafting takes time. Cooking, healing, fixing things, it all eats into your limited daylight hours. And you're not just managing resources, you're managing the emotional states of multiple versions of yourself who can get overworked, hurt, hungry, pissed off. They can literally stage a mutiny and force you out, resulting in game over. The survival loop at launch was unforgiving. You could only save at the end of each day, so if you made a bad decision midway through, tough luck, ride it out or lose hours of progress. The deadline was constantly looming. Magnetic storms damaged your base. Radiation outside drained your health. Your alters had needs and demands. Some wanted privacy, some needed to work out, some needed gifts. Some just needed someone to talk to. Figure out what makes each guy tick or watch your entire operation fall apart. You're venturing out onto the planet's surface with limited battery in your suit. You can only use tools for so long before you're stranded. The terrain is this intricate labyrinth where you're slowly mining resources, building power pylons to connect everything back to base, dodging environmental hazards. It felt like Death Stranding meets Fallout Shelter meets a psychological thriller about identity and choice. The game was praised at launch, 88% positive on Steam. Critics loved it. Alex Jordan's performance voicing all 12 different versions of Jan was phenomenal, but the feedback was consistent. This game is stressful as hell. Players were saying things like, "I love this game, but the time pressure is killing me, and I want to experience the story without the constant anxiety." One player specifically said, "Relax mode is big for me. I was too stressed out with the deadlines." The game sold 280,000 copies by July, hit Game Pass day one, and 11-Bit Studios had a certified hit on their hands. But they also had players who wanted to experience Jan's story, who were invested in the branching narrative and the alter dynamics, but couldn't handle the survival mechanics grinding them down. Fast forward to December 8th, 2025. 11-Bit Studios drops their first major free content update, and it fundamentally changes what the alters can be for players. First up, Relax Mode. This isn't just difficulty sliders, this is a completely new way to experience the game. The description literally says, "Enjoy a game with calmer survival mechanics and less time pressure. Recommended for players who want to focus on the story." You still manage your base, you still create alters, you still explore, but the oppressive time constraints are dialed way back. The survival grind that made players panic? Optional. You can now experience Jan's emotional journey, the alter dynamics, the branching narrative paths, without feeling like you're constantly on the verge of failure. But they didn't remove the original experience. That hardcore survival management loop is still there for players who want it. They just said, "Hey, we see you. You want different things from this game, and we're gonna give you the choice." Then there's the new save system. Remember how you could only save at the end of each day at launch? Gone. Now you can save automatically when exiting and during key story moments. This is huge for a branching narrative game, where exploring different outcomes is core to the experience. Want to see what happens if you create Jan Scientist instead of Jan Miner? Make a save before that decision. Want to experiment with dialogue choices? Save before critical conversations. The game now respects your time instead of forcing you to replay hours to see alternate paths. And here's where it gets interesting from a base building perspective. They added the Gamer's Den, a social space inside your wheel-shaped station where your crew of Johns can actually relax. There's a fully playable card game you can challenge your alters to, beer pong, movie watching, furniture like sofas and painting setups. This isn't just cosmetic, it's emergent content that makes your base feel lived in. These aren't just resource management units anymore. They're distinct personalities with downtime activities. Customization options for both your base exterior and Jan's spacesuit. You can now paint each section of your wheel station however you want, with skins inspired by Frostpunk and other 11-bit games. Spacesuit skins, so you're exploring in style. This seems small, but it's actually about player expression. You're spending hours in this environment, now you can make it yours. Photo mode was added, so you can capture moments with your crew of Johns. And look, we all know what photo mode really means. It's for players to create content, share screenshots, document their playthroughs, but it also pairs perfectly with relax mode. Now you can slow down, set up shots, appreciate the environmental design without rushing, and they threw in a noir-styled storyline, a black and white mystery mission where you're solving a shadowy crime aboard the station. It's extra content that expands the tonal range of the game and shows they're not done experimenting with the universe they created. Number 3. StarRupture, and this one's for players who like their base building with a heavy dose of industrial automation and factory management. Coming to Steam Early Access on January 6, 2026 from Creepy Jar, the same team behind Green Hell, StarRupture takes the survival-based building formula and adds a Factorio-inspired twist. You're a prisoner on the planet Arcadia 7, forced to build factories and gather resources for faceless corporations, all while dealing with a star that periodically wipes the surface clean in apocalyptic ruptures. The base building here is all about industrial systems. You're not just constructing shelters, you're building entire automated production facilities. The game features complex resource chains where raw materials need to be processed through multiple stages. You'll set up mining drills on resource nodes, connect them with conveyor belts to processing facilities, smelt ores into usable materials, and automate production lines to craft everything you need. What makes this exciting is the scale you can achieve. You can build massive factories with multiple production lines running simultaneously, power grids using generators and power distributors, and storage systems to handle all your materials. The building system uses a modular approach where you're placing foundations, walls, and machinery in a way that creates efficient layouts. And because you can play with up to 4 friends in co-op, you can collaborate on building these enormous industrial complexes. But here's the twist. Remember those ruptures I mentioned? Periodically, the planet's star goes supernova and wipes the surface clean with fire and destruction. This creates a unique building challenge. You need to design bases that can either withstand the rupture or be quickly rebuilt after. There are underground areas and protective measures you can take, which adds strategic depth to base placement and construction. The game also features base defense elements because you're not alone on this planet. Hostile alien creatures attack your facilities, so you need to incorporate defensive structures into your builds. Walls, turrets, and defensive positions become essential parts of your industrial base design. Now, StarRupture did get pushed back from its original 2025 release date, which always raises some concerns, but the developers have been transparent about needing more polished time. They recently ran a successful 2-week playtest that generated a lot of positive buzz. The Unreal Engine 5 visuals look stunning. They actually traveled to Iceland to capture realistic harsh environment references, and the gameplay footage shows a really sophisticated building system. If you're into games like Satisfactory, Factorio, or Dyson Sphere Program, but you want it with a survival twist and co-op support, StarRupture is shaping up to be something special. The combination of factory building, automation, co-op play, and that ever-present threat of planetary destruction creates a unique pressure cooker building experience. Number 2. Most Viking survival games give you axes and tell you to chop wood. Valheim hands you a hammer and says, prove you're worthy of Valhalla by building a mead hall Odin himself would envy. The building system uses realistic structural physics, where every beam, wall, and roof tile matters for stability. Your longhouse doesn't just shelter you from trolls and Draugr, it's architectural proof that you belong among the Norse gods. And when storms rage and enemies attack, poorly designed structures literally collapse under their own weight. The structural integrity system is brilliant and punishing. Every piece displays color-coded stability. Blue means grounded, touching terrain, 100% stable. Green is good, yellow is concerning, orange is risky, and red means it's about to break. Place a piece onto something fully red and it immediately collapses, dropping resources. Stability degrades the further pieces extend horizontally or vertically from grounded supports. Build a wall 6 blocks high unsupported. Watch it crumble. Each piece inherits maximum stability from what supports it. Add to something 50% stable, and your new piece caps at 50%. Weight matters. Stone walls hanging horizontally fail faster than wooden beams. The solution: vertical support beams, creating the shortest path to ground-raised terrain beneath structures using the hoe so foundations touch earth, maximizing base stability. Plant trees. Yes, trees function as ground for support purposes, enabling insanely tall constructions. Use core wood from pine trees for stronger structural pieces than regular wood from birch and beech. Stone provides even better durability once you unlock the stonecutter cross bracing with wooden beams distributes load, letting you build multi-story towers and suspended walkways that would otherwise collapse. Terrain manipulation is essential. The hoe levels uneven ground, preventing structural weaknesses from unbalanced foundations. The pickaxe removes rock for building sites, flatten areas completely before placing floor tiles. Half-embedded foundations cause asymmetric stability failures that ruin symmetrical buildings. Smart builders raise ground beneath structures, ensuring entire bases rest on blue stable foundations. Boulders count as terrain too, so intersecting them provides natural grounding points. Weather systems directly impact construction. Wooden pieces exposed to rain decay to 50% durability, developing rotting textures until repaired. The solution: proper roofing. Use actual roof tiles, not floor tiles repurposed as ceilings. Only real roof tiles protect from wind and weather. Build chimneys or roof openings for indoor campfires, angled to prevent rain entry while venting smoke. Smoke accumulation damages players over time, so ventilation isn't aesthetic, it's survival. The workbench radius system gates construction. You can only build within workbench range, and repairs require appropriate crafting stations nearby. Workbench for wood, stonecutter for stone. Place workbenches throughout your building site to extend construction zones. Advanced tip: hidden workbenches in perimeter walls or covered pits prevent enemy spawns in their radius, creating safe zones without visible clutter. Comfort mechanics reward interior design. Furniture like beds, benches, chairs, banners, and rugs increase comfort levels up to 17+, extending the rested buff duration, vital for stamina regeneration, to 24 minutes. A well-furnished mead hall isn't cosmetic, it's mechanical advantage. Use partitions and half walls to contain furniture without visual clutter. Place beds near campfires for spawn point functionality. Hide fireplaces and stone walls, preventing smoke damage while maintaining warmth. Defensive design matters critically. Enemies attack light sources and crafting stations aggressively. Build palisade walls with stake defenses around perimeters. Construct moats, forcing enemies into kill zones. Create watchtowers and archer positions with half-wall protection. Design multiple exits for emergency escapes. Hide valuable items in separate secured rooms in case main defenses breach. Build on elevated terrain pillars. Most creatures can't scale steep walls, and minimizing terrain alteration improves FPS while providing natural defenses. Advanced techniques unlock creative freedom. Snap mechanics auto-align pieces for tight fits. Hold shift to disable snapping for custom angles. Stack chests vertically using 1x1 floor tiles as shelves. Then destroy shelves. Chests hover indefinitely, quadrupling storage density. Use wood beams as snap points for outdoor flooring. Build recessed walls by placing doors for 3 snap points, using innermost points creating depth. Construct suspended platforms by placing 1-meter beams on floor edges, then 2-meter beams in front as supports for next tiles, avoiding dangerous balancing acts on high builds. Progression unlocks materials: wood and thatch for starter structures, core wood for stronger builds, stone for fortifications, iron for reinforced construction, black metal for endgame bases. The cultivator plants crops and trees, enabling farm infrastructure. The forge processes bronze, iron, and other metals for advanced building components. Blast furnaces, kilns, and fermenters require dedicated crafting rooms as your base evolves from shelter to industrial complex. Viking aesthetics emerge through careful design. Traditional longhouses stretch 10 by 15 meters with internal campfires, cooking stations, beds aligned along walls, and roof beams hiding straw textures. Build on hills for visibility and prestige. Vikings displayed wealth through impressive hilltop structures visible from distances. Palisades with round edges, though they take rain damage without coverage. Mead halls with high ceilings, decorative shields, banners displaying faction colors, throne rooms, and treasure vaults. Dungeons for containing Grey Dwarfs, seriously. For base builders who want construction where physics actually matters. Where structural engineering determines whether your mead hall survives or collapses during the next troll raid. And where proving your worth to Norse gods means building architecture worthy of Valhalla. Valheim delivers Viking survival with genuine architectural stakes. Your longhouse isn't decoration, it's testament to your engineering skill, and Odin is watching. Number 1.
If this is to be the end, it will not be ours.
Enshrouded launched as this voxel-based survival action RPG set in the corrupted fantasy realm of Embervale. You wake up as a Flameborn, humanity's last hope, and you're immediately thrown into a world shrouded in deadly fog. The core hook, the shroud itself, these were time-limited danger zones packed with hostile enemies and valuable loot. You had maybe 5 minutes max in the shroud before you died, which created this natural progression system where upgrading your flame altar extended your survival time. And look, credit where credit's due, the foundation was solid. The voxel building system at launch was already embarrassing other survival games. We had snap-to-grid mechanics that actually worked, terrain manipulation that let you carve mountains into fortresses, and freeform placement when you wanted to get creative. The grappling hook and glider made traversal feel incredible. You could zip across gaps, glide over terrain, and the double jump, chef's kiss. The combat had 3 distinct archetypes: melee, ranged, and magic, with proper skill trees and a respec system that encouraged experimentation. The game launched with 5 biomes, level cap at 25, and 16-player co-op that actually worked at launch. You'd summon NPCs to your base who'd give you crafting recipes and quests. The survival mechanics were refreshingly forgiving. Hunger and thirst didn't kill you, they just affected your combat efficiency. Drinking water boosted endurance, eating food boosted constitution. It was survival without the tedious punishment. But here's the thing about that early access launch, and I cannot stress this enough: there was no water, like functionally none. Sure, you had static puddles scattered around for visual flavor, maybe some decorative streams that were basically just textures, but water as a dynamic interactive element didn't exist. You couldn't place it, couldn't manipulate it, couldn't build with it. For a survival base builder, that's a massive gap. Now fast forward to November 10th, 2025, just a few weeks ago. The wake of the water update drops, and Enshrouded becomes genuinely unrecognizable. First off, actual water, not decorative, not static, fully dynamic, voxel-based, physics-simulated water that you can manipulate however you want. You can route rivers, create canals, build aqueducts, design waterfall systems, fill entire trenches. Water behaves like real water. It takes the shape of its container, flows downhill, fills empty spaces. You can place it anywhere with the portable water pump, or set up rain barrels to capture rainwater over time. But it gets better. They added the Veilwater Basin, a completely new late-game tropical biome located between the Albanev summits and Blackmire. We're talking jungle temples, lagoons, beaches, and vast expanses of water with underwater ruins and dungeons. Swimming and diving mechanics completely change exploration. You can dive into any body of water now, navigate winding submerged tunnels, hunt for treasure in underwater caves. There's an oxygen system, you've got limited air, and if you run out, your health drains fast. The new gear, foods, and potions are specifically designed to combat the wet debuff you get from swimming and help you stay underwater longer. You've got an underwater grappling hook from the carpenter and a mining sieve from the blacksmith that functions as your underwater pickaxe. Because yeah, try swinging a regular pickaxe underwater. Fishing is now a full mini-game. Craft a basic fishing rod, combine it with different baits, cast into bodies of water, and fight fish in a stamina-based mini-game where you push opposite their pull. Different baits catch different rarity fish, better rods, give you a chance at epic catches. Fish can be cooked at the new Seafood Grill crafting station, and we've got new workstations like the roaster, coffee brewer, and grind mill that use a force mechanic powered by windmills or water wheels. And the water wheel situation, that's where it gets interesting for us builders. You can create elaborate flowing water systems, build elevated platforms, fill them with water using the pump, place water dispensers in walls to create waterfalls, and position water wheels underneath to generate force for your grind mills. The mechanics are legitimately complex. You can even build underwater bases by using flame altars to temporarily remove water, then quickly placing walls before it flows back in. There are water barrier walls that let you walk through while keeping water out. The building possibilities went from great voxel system to you can literally terraform and manipulate water physics. But they didn't just add water. The weapon and combat overhaul is massive. Weapons now actually match their thematic identity. Those ice-coated daggers that did 0 ice damage at launch? Fixed. Durability increased across the board. All previously unlocked lore weapons are now craftable at any tier, so you're not stuck with that weapon you loved at level 15. They added an entire greatsword weapon class. Enemies now drop powerful versions of existing weapons based on their level and rarity. And remember animal taming from the Souls of the Frozen Frontier update last November. You've got goats, yaks, dogs, cats, deer, and now capybaras. The docile, non-hostile creatures you can tame and bring back to your base. Build barns, create markets, breed offspring. The Veilwater Basin introduced the Drac, reptilian enemies equally dangerous on land and in water. Plus giant crabs, water reptiles, and a whole new survivor NPC, Captain Melville, who specializes in fishing. So when I say Enshrouded is unrecognizable from its January 2024 launch, I mean it literally. This went from a solid voxel survival game with great building mechanics and no water to having arguably the best water implementation in any survival game on the market right now. The ability to manipulate water dynamically, build underwater bases, create complex irrigation systems, combine water wheels with grinding mechanics. That's not an update. That's a fundamental transformation of what the game is. The base Enshrouded player from early 2024 would log in now and spend the first hour just experimenting with water physics. The game that launched with 5 biomes and a level 25 cap now has multiple massive biome additions, a level 45 cap, fishing, taming, dynamic weather, great swords, and water that flows like actual water. That's what happens when developers commit to their early access roadmap and actually listen to their community. Water was the most requested feature. They delayed the update from October to November 10th specifically to get it right, and from everything we've seen, they got it very right.